Six savages on the mix.
Hello, my name is Julia. If you don't know who I am, aka the Mind of Juju. So I know this is gonna be my first sit down talking video on this channel. Obviously, I do have other videos on this channel, but this is gonna be the first one where I'm just sitting down talking to you guys, which is what I originally had envisioned for this channel. So I'm really excited to get into today's topic. I appreciate you clicking on a link or just watching this video, even if it's only for a couple minutes. You know, I appreciate you just being open to hearing what I have to say about this topic that is the title. So yes, obviously the title is it's going to be something related to being scared of yourself, okay? Like being afraid of yourself. And I know that when people read or think of that, they're probably thinking like, what? How can I be afraid of myself? How can I be scared of myself? Like, people always saying that they're not scared of no other men, they're not scared of nobody. But when you say stuff like that, people don't normally think about themselves. Like, bitch, how can you be scared of yourself? So, you know, maybe other people could be scared of you, but people don't feel like you could be scared of yourself. So, first thing I'm going to do is talk about some ways that you could potentially, or somebody that you know might be afraid of themselves. And then I'm going to talk about how to basically not be afraid of yourself. So, I have some notes here. So if I'm looking like away from the camera, it's because I'm referencing my notes. So yes. So so the first way that I feel like a person could be scared of themselves is because they might be scared to reach their potential. So somebody being scared of reaching their potential could be for several different reasons. It might be because they are just like, let me see, I said they might be scared of change. So they might be scared of just change, period. So when you reach your maximum potential, you're obviously not going to be the same person that you've been all this time. So they might be scared of that change, just for whatever deep-rooted reason they might have. It can get very deep. But overall, a lot of people are not okay with change. So that can cause them to be afraid of themselves. Another reason that I had is because they might be scared of hitting that peak or maximum, so they will not really have any room for improvement. So, you know, if you're somebody that's uncomfortable with that, that could cause you to be afraid of yourself, where you reach a place where it's like, okay, you hit your peak. So it's like, you know, where some people might say it's only up from here. When you hit your peak, it's only down from there. So if you think about it in that sense, some people might be scared of being in that position where they feel like there's no more room for improvement. So another final way that I wrote down that how people are scared of reaching their potential and that causes them to be afraid of themselves is because they might be afraid of failing. So they might be, you know, they might not be wanting to, how do I say this, like reach their potential because they might be afraid of failing. So when you reach your potential, obviously you might have new expectations for yourself, or just even the thought of trying to reach your potential, right? You might be afraid of that failure. So, you know, that could be discouraging. So you just don't even want to deal with that at all. So that can cause you to be afraid of yourself. And all of those ways basically sum up into you just being afraid to reach your potential. That's the most common one that I also see people talking about when they say you being scared of yourself, like you're scared to reach your potential. So I just wanted to say that one first and get that out the way. The second thing that I'm gonna mention about how people can be afraid of themselves is, so them being scared of the responsibility and the work that comes with facing yourself, or that comes with the desires that you have for yourself. So and obviously we want to be our best selves, so that's kind of how that goes together. Like, you want to be your best self, so you might be scared of the responsibility and the work that actually comes with that. So even though like you're scared of the responsibility and the work, underlying, like, going along with that will really be you being scared of yourself, because the responsibility and the work that you put in is essentially for you to be your best self. So that could lead someone easily to be essentially afraid of themselves, like who they truly are, who they truly want to be, who they really want to show. Comes with a lot more responsibility and work than what they're willing to put up with right now. So, and that's completely understandable. So, this video is not to shade anyone or anything, but I mean, you can send it to somebody if you want to shade them and send them like a timestamp. But for real, this is just to help spread self-awareness. So, yes, and just be honest with ourselves. Be honest with ourselves, because you cannot be honest with other people if you're not honest with yourself. So some people are afraid of the responsibility and the work that comes with themselves, or accomplishing anything that they desire for themselves. So a couple ways that this can manifest is they might be afraid of having to have higher standards. So when it comes to being true to yourself or being afraid of yourself, you might also be afraid to have higher standards. That's why some people, they continue to be lower versions of themselves, because then they feel like it's okay for them to have the standards that they have been going with all this time. So they don't want to raise those standards, and now everybody's confused because they have to stick to those standards now because they know what they deserve. But they might be around people that don't make them feel comfortable with what they feel they deserve. So, yeah, some people might be scared to have higher standards. Okay, so that also comes with having stricter boundaries. So, again, this is related to the responsibility and the work that comes with just being yourself, being your best self. You're gonna have to have stricter boundaries. So, some people might be afraid, or just, I don't want to say lazy, because it's a reason for everything. Everyone has their reasons for things, and everyone is entitled to what they want to put their energy into. But when you're being true to yourself and you're trying to become a better person, you have to have stricter boundaries. And the more you level up, the more you're going to have to be strict on your boundaries, because you have to remember that moths are attracted to light. So when it comes to being your truest self, you are a being of light. So a lot of people are going to try to flock to you, but you have to have strict boundaries and what you're willing to allow, what you're not willing to allow, and you have to hold yourself accountable. So some people might be scared of that, because they might deal with some pushback, they might deal with some tension with that. So that's another way where people might be scared of the responsibility and the work that comes with, obtaining the things that they want for themselves in regards to who they are as a person. Again, so doing shadow work, I mentioned doing shadow work and managing your assets. And you doing shadow work, some people might be scared of doing that shadow work. So that's kind of, I don't want to say obvious, because some people might not have thought of this, but another way that people might be scared of the responsibility or the work that comes with being one's true self, ultimately leading them to be afraid of themselves, is having to do that shadow work. Because the shadow work is what's going to help you learn about yourself and be more true to yourself and be more honest with yourself, so that you can express who you truly are, and you can also determine. So this is also kind of goes with managing your assets, because we all have great qualities, right? We can all choose to use those qualities for good or bad, or whatever we want to use them for. So I don't know if you all have heard the saying, with more blessings come more responsibility. So when you choose to acknowledge your blessings and step into your gifts and talents and things like that, you really have to be able to manage them well. So you want to make sure you're putting it towards things that serve you. If something is no longer serving you, you have to let that go. And you have to be able to analyze your thought process. And so that's also part of doing the shadow work, in order to be yourself. Some people might be scared of doing that shadow work because you might find out some things about yourself that you never thought that you were like. So, you know, I could go into examples, but that could be a whole nother video about shadow work and stuff like that. So the third thing that I'm going to mention about how some people can be afraid of themselves, is that they might be scared of basically losing people around them, their friends, family members, anybody close to them. They might be scared of losing them if they become who they truly are or show who they truly are. So that can be intimidating, you know, when you establish these connections and bonds with somebody who you once were, and now you're trying to become better or change or evolve. Some people are scared to lose those around them, you know, for several reasons. And I have a couple different things that, you know, I've broken this down into. So, right. So the first thing is maybe you were hiding some version of yourself or some part of yourself before. And, you know, so maybe it's like you might just feel guilty or uncomfortable with showing who you truly are, or parts that you were actively hiding from some people in your life, you know. So that can be that you're going to need courage. You actually need to muster up the courage in order to get past that. So, another way I said is you might encounter jealousy. You might be worried about people around you becoming jealous of your light, jealous of how you do you and are true to yourself, because a lot of people wish they could, or they could not muster up the courage, or they too are also afraid. So, you know, you might be worried that you might encounter jealousy. People might think, oh, who do you think you are? And this kind of goes back to the thing about managing the responsibilities and the work that comes with being yourself, because you do have to maintain stricter boundaries and be more clear on what you're willing to allow. So some people might become jealous of that. And so you might have some people who you thought were your bestest friends, who you might really love, and you thought they really loved you. But when you start switching things up on them, for the sake of self-improvement, they might become jealous of that, because, you know, they resonated with a certain version of you, and once they see that you're coming out of that, they might reject that. So that's another thing. People might be afraid of rejection, which then leads them to become afraid of themselves. So let's see. Okay, so basically the final thing I said in terms of being scared of losing people that love you around you is that you might just honestly be too tired of having to reintroduce yourself. So when you step into this journey of getting closer to oneself, being more true to yourself, and facing this fear, right? If you're scared of yourself, so you're gonna probably have to reintroduce yourself to the people around you. So this is related to, you know, my final third thing about how somebody could be afraid of themselves. When you are true to yourself, you are a growing and changing and evolving person. So some people just get tired of having to reintroduce themselves as who they are now, certain behaviors that they're no longer doing, or certain things that they're no longer allowing. And they have to explain to people, because, you know, some people might be like, oh, but you used to do this, you used to allow this, or they might not even outright say that, but they just treat you as if you were who you once were. So then you have to remind them, like, look, I know I used to do this, and I know you feel like you have to tell me that, but now you literally don't. Like, I've learned from that, I've grown from that. That's literally not what I'm on anymore. So and some people are gonna get it, some people are not gonna get it. So that's just another thing that, you know, another thing to explore on why you or somebody you know might be afraid of themselves. So I have talked a lot. That was kind of a lot. It was kind of jumping all over the place, I know. But I can definitely hone in on some of these topics if you all would like in a separate video. But now I'm going to talk about, since I named 3 ways in which some people can be afraid of themselves, I'm going to name 3 ways in which how to not be afraid of yourself. So I'm going to just review the first 3 ways where I said you could be afraid of yourself. Is 1, You might be scared to reach your potential. So you might be literally just scared of hitting your peak, hitting your maximum, because it's only down from there. So some people are literally just scared to reach their potential. The second way I said is because they might be scared of the responsibility and the work that comes with, what did I say? That comes with the desires for yourself. So that's how I put it. Like the desires for yourself, meaning like the things you want in regards to yourself, your being. So you might have a lot of desires, but I'm specifically talking about the ones related to yourself and how you express yourself. So they might be afraid of that responsibility and work. The third thing I said was they might be scared of losing some people around them who they feel like really love them. So, those relationships are going to change. So, those are 3 ways that people might be afraid of themselves. And so 3 ways, I'm going to start with the first way of ways to just not be afraid of yourself anymore. So the first one is going to be determine. Okay, so this is like important. So determine who or what matters to you the most in terms of who you need to answer to. Okay, or I said / please. So determine who or what matters to you the most in terms of who you have to answer to or who you are trying to please. Now, a lot of people are quick to say, okay, should nobody matter but God? Should nothing matter but yourself? You should only please yourself. But I'm not here to tell you who you should value the most. As far as who you have to answer to. I don't know who you have to answer to. Sometimes, we end up becoming afraid of ourselves because we might have been raised in a household where we have to answer to our parents, or we're trying to please our parents, just so that we can get our basic necessities. So, you never know somebody's situation. So, that is important for you to determine, like, who do you have to answer to, who you have to please. And this is going to help you become more true to yourself, because then you can realize who and what you're aligning with. So, like, for example, I might have been somebody when I was trying to please somebody else, and I might have really deeply attached myself to that. But when I realized, like, oh, okay, like, I'm behaving or essentially valuing this other person's pleasure, I'm basically valuing that more than anything. So with that being said, when I keep that in mind, it makes me wonder, who might I be if I chose to value myself instead, or value God instead, or value them instead? Whoever you want to be on top in terms of who you have to answer to or who you're trying to please. So the second way is to stop being scared is to be around people that genuinely love you. So being around people that genuinely love you, it's going to make you not scared to be yourself, because they're going to really value and enjoy yourself. And so it's going to naturally make you want to be more of yourself, because, okay, it's like they love me. And it's kind of like when you think about when you love somebody else, you want them to be their true self. You want as much of them, the real them, as you can get. So just think of it that way. And, when you're around people that genuinely love you, they're going to feel that way about you. So that's going to make you feel less scared to be yourself, and they're going to make you feel comfortable. So that's definitely a game changer, being around people that genuinely love you. Like, if you can, try to be around people that genuinely love you for who you are, and not just for what you can do for them or anything like that. So the third thing I'm going to say is the third and final thing I'm going to say in this video. My last point of how, to stop being scared of yourself is basically to be scared, but do it anyway. So I know you might be thinking, like, that's not a real way, because you're literally saying be scared. But that's literally the way. Like, being scared, but doing it anyway. You just have to think about how much better you're going to feel. Like, how much better you're going to feel knowing that you stay true to yourself. Like, that happiness is going to be worth more than anything else you might be scared of, knowing that you stay true to yourself. Because at the end of the day, all you have is yourself at the end of the day. Like, you might have other people that help you and stuff throughout this life, so you feel like you owe them something, but those people are not going to be here forever. So it's, even if you do have to basically like shield yourself for a minute, you know, you still want to make sure you cater to yourself, mentally check in with yourself, and just be real with yourself. Okay, so being scared but doing it anyway is really freeing. So you have to look at it as that, like, it's really freeing. And even though you might be scared, it's after the fact of the trials and tribulations, you're gonna feel accomplished. So yes, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Definitely give this a thumbs up or a comment, share, subscribe. Okay, if you want to hear more content like this, if this is also like stuff you think about, if you value self-improvement, and you know, just coming from a regular person, like, I'm not an expert or anything, but I have thought long and hard about these issues. I personally deal with these issues. So, you know, if you want to drop some other topics I could talk about, definitely do that. So yes, I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and don't forget to subscribe and share this with your friends, with your family, or somebody who you know that might be scared of themselves. So yes, I hope you all have a good one. Peace and love.
6 savages on the mix.
Yeah, I've been thinking. I be by myself, I fuck with you, don't know what I was thinking.